earlier video, I talked about what is 5G, and one of those key features was the so-called enhanced mobile broadband, so that's faster speeds. So one of the key challenges is how to achieve that, and there are three real main ways of doing that. The first is more spectrum, of course. There's already been a release of 3.4, 3.5 gigahertz. There will be new spectrum released at 700 megahertz as well, and Ofcom will probably release 3.6, 3.8 gigahertz in the not too distant future. But to get those really high speeds that we're talking about, we are going to need to use millimeter wave spectrum as well, and lots of bandwidth there. The second potential solution is to make the spectrum more efficient. And the key development there is massive MIMO. That involves splitting the coverage up into multiple beams, and each beam carrying separate data. Very difficult to manage all of that, but that's happening. And the third way of achieving that is achieving that greater data throughput is through densification, which means smaller cells getting smaller and smaller, and then you can reuse the spectrum.
Spectrum is not the only challenge that operators will be facing when they come to deploy the technology. I believe innovation will also bring its share of challenges. These innovations in technology are required by the operators or the networks to deliver the very high data rates and the low latencies that 5G brings about. Edge computing is another innovation. This is where operators put a lot of their processing power outside of their core and closer to the user, so that decisions are taken closer to the user, allowing a quicker turnaround and lower latency. There has been a lot of talk about the cloud RAN architecture or the virtualized RAN architecture in recent years, and 5G would definitely adopt that type of architecture because it minimizes the equipment the operators have to deploy, and with the multiplication of or densification of their network, they'll need to deploy more and more equipment. So the cloud RAN architecture allows them to minimize the amount of equipment they need to deploy. And in the UK, operators are yet to embrace this type of architecture. So we should hopefully see a lot more of those deployments. So these are just a few of the challenges and could well be the tip of the iceberg. As operators deploy their networks, we might see more of those coming forward, and operators will need to deal with them.